All right, ladies and gents, I'm going to throw in my 2 cents here, my origin thoughts on mainly the Blues team. Maroon's team not changed too much, to be honest. I just wanted to throw my hat in there and say my piece. If you think I should go back to just NRL fantasy content, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to cop that. Obviously not my specialty, but to know a little bit, I think. And congrats first and foremost to Matty Burton on getting his debut, and Stephen Crichton for being able to get to start in this game. First and foremost, congrats to those guys. Also to Api Koroisau, who's been named to start as well, and then Talakai on the bench for his debut, and a welcome back to Crichton. Obviously, pretty cool for him, and then Jakey Jabojevic as well, who's been put back in the starting side, which is great. But there is a but. Let me go through a little bit of it. First initial thoughts to me was, yes, we lost game one. I'm a Blues fan, even though I go for the Cowboys. Initial thoughts was that, for me, I think we made a lot of real snappy changes to one loss, and it was a close game that we just didn't play, extremely well compared to what we have in the past. And, the Maroons did a couple of things that nullified Nathan Cleary, which I think has been improved or reduced that issue. I think that their tactics will change anyway, and would have changed if they kept the same side. If Jack Whiten was there, for example, there could have been a few things they would have done. I think they would use Luai as a kicker a little bit more, just as a second option. Jack Whiten could also have kicked, but now they've got Matt Burton. I really like that they have an extra kicking option who has brings something a little bit different to Cleary. Like he can do those types of kicks, but it's a left foot option that Whiten would have had as well. I think they will use him in that scenario a bit. What they missed in that first game was obviously, Jabojevic and Mitchell, who are those game breaker type of players, but they can roam, they can do a few different things across the park. And I think, having Burton in your team allows you to have that slight, X factor, or that difference that they may have been missing before. As good as Whiten was, it was more his running game. I think Burton will be able to do a little bit more with his boot than what Whiten would have. Definitely there. Crichton, I think, is going to be completely fine, guys. He came on, he obviously had the error and the turnover, a bit of Munster magic, but he'll be fine. He's, done amazingly well in big games before. My smallest concern here is the fact that Cook's been put to the bench, and I do understand what they're going for here with him. The way that I almost feel like it's a little bit of a reaction to what Queensland have done really well. They have Ben Hunt, they have Harry Grant, who both do different things, and playing that 55 to 60 minutes each approximately has really helped them. They've been able to come on and be great for that 55 minutes. And my only concern here is that Cook was at his best in the last 30 minutes of the game, and that was with him playing 80 minutes. So I personally feel like he can play the 80, unless you feel like, Freddie feels like that first 20 or 30 minutes, he's just conserving a bit of energy, working himself into the game to then be able to, in the back end of the game, try and make a comeback or really put his foot on the gas kind of thing. I think Cookie can play 80, and he's shown that over a long period of time. So him not being on there when he was pretty clearly our best player last week, in the first game, along with obviously Teddy and Whiten, just seemed a little bit strange for me. But as I say, big congrats to Koroisau. He's definitely going to bring something in and around the ruck there, a little bit of structure. Obviously, the biggest thing with him being in the number 9 is obviously having the connection with Matt Burton. You can add to that as well, but To'o Burton, Crichton there, Jerome Luai, Cleary, and also Liam Martin and Isaiah Yeo. It's very clearly the Panthers' spine, 1, 6, 7, 9, and 13 there, and that's obviously going to be great for them. And I think that maybe Freddie was a little bit worried about the start of game one, but really, when it's a 50-50 game, New South Wales took the first punch, right? Queensland come out and wins this game. There's obviously a lot more on the line for game 2, and I'm predicting that New South Wales will come out and win, no matter what small changes or anything that they've made in their squad. I think that they come out and win this. They just edges us slightly. They have that little bit extra to play for. Obviously, Queensland are going to come out and they're always on the ball. They're always working 100%. But just that little bit extra to gain in this one, where it's not in Queensland, it's the neutral ground in Perth. I think they're going to come out and win anyway. So these changes, I think, are going to be minor in the grand scheme of things. They're going to make their adjustments. Cleary's going to be a lot better. They're going to try and use Luai's running game a little bit more, which they weren't able to do in that first half. And that is obviously off the back of the forwards and the structure that they laid and the platform they laid, which Queensland did a lot better, did a much did a much better job of getting quick play the balls and giving their halves time to roam and play with freedom, really, which you saw pretty well through the whole game, which you only saw that a tiny bit at the back end of the last 20 minutes for the Blues when Teddy and Cook were getting out and through the middle, and then Luai could spread it out there wide and do really well. So that's my general thoughts about those guys. Really happy for Burton and Crichton, obviously the younger guys in the centres, but I think they've got really strong guys around them. One thing I think is super important is the Cam Murray actually starting this week. He wasn't named to start last time. I think Cam needs to play the 80 minutes, whether that's a good chunk of that on the edge and then moving to a little bit through the middle. If Isaiah Yeo does get a breather, I think Isaiah could get the 80 minutes as well, and I think that would probably be a good idea. He's such an important player for this side. So Murray and Yeo, I would hope they would both get 80 minutes, but if one of them doesn't happen to do that, they both, one of those two has to be in the number 13 jersey, I think personally. And you obviously have a few options with Jake Trbojevic playing through the middle and just being a voice and a leader out there. I think is obviously Jake's most important part of being back in this side. His defensive ability and his leadership is Jakey's specialty. He can ball play as well, which when Yeo was on the field, he didn't have his perfect game, but he still is that link man and has shown over the last couple of years what he's been able to do. Liam Martin, there's solid. Obviously, the return of Crichton. My biggest question here is why make these big, I say they were outlandish a little bit, moves to drop Crichton, to drop Trbojevic, the Addo-Carr one, neither here nor there, Tupou, Addo-Carr, they're both very great, amazing players. But just to drop those kind of guys when they were playing great, no issues with any of their performances over the last bunch of years, have always done their job. For guys like Madison, for guys like RCG, who have been playing great, they deserve their opportunity to play, but it's not like they played poorly in game one. I just don't. I feel like what he's done over the years is actually build that, build the continuity and given guys a chance to really grow into these roles. And I just find it a bit strange that he would make those big calls to drop these guys, bring these guys like Madison in for their first opportunity, to then drop them straight after game one when it was obviously a really close game. It's not like they got pumped by 20, for example. I just found that really interesting that was the way to go. Obviously, he's going back to guys that have already been in there before, so it's not a big issue. It's not like he dropped those new guys for further new guys. I just found that a little bit strange that was the way to go. Obviously, this is a must-win game for him. But then brings in someone like Talakai, who I know is there for some outside back cover, especially when you're missing Stags and also White in there. You need to bring someone in for that when you've only got sort of middle, edge, and hooking and half cover kind of thing. That was just my little strange one. If we want to talk a little bit about the reserves, obviously Nicho Hynes still in the 18, completely fine. That's the way they want to go with it. They want to bring in a hooker in or a centre, backs and second row kind of cover with Talakai. But Jordan McLean, a few people are going to talk about him. I think what Freddie's kind of trying to do is bring in guys that are playing well in club footy. They've been doing a great job and just slowly integrating some of these guys into the reserves so they can get a feel of what Origin is going to be like, what camp's going to be like, and if they're needed to be brought in at any time and need to have someone step up, then they can do that. You got Victor Radley in that arena as well, and Clint Gutherson, a lot for cover, but also for morale, and he's just such a good leader as well in the Eels setup as well, and he has been here before, so. Anything that they can do to get a win in this game too is going to be the way to go. But guys, let me know your thoughts around that. If I'm talking a lot of sense, if you think I'm not, if there's anything you want to rebuttal back with, I'm quite happy to jump in the comments and have a little discussion with you. Obviously, not my specialty. I'm not a match analyst. I would be on TV there somewhere, but obviously talking NRL fantasy. But let me know your thoughts on that. And on the Maroon side of things, not too much to say really. Just you can't really do anything with Ponga, Cobbo, Holmes, and Gags. They're pretty well locks now, and hopefully Cobbo's there for a long time. But congrats to Talangi, who gets his spot on the wing, and he's someone that could also grow a lot into this role, and I think he's going to do a great job for him. That's for sure. In terms of the forwards, nothing really changes for them, and the interchange is the same as last time, except for Arrow. So Arrow comes in and gets his opportunity to play again, which a lot of us thought he probably should have got his opportunity to retain his spot in game one. and he gets back on that, back in that position, and then similar thing with them. They've got Beau Fermor in the reserves, who is going to be someone that's going to be there over the long term. Reece Walsh is back in there, and Corey Oates in the reserves for the outside backs as well. So I generally think that the Blues can get game 2. It's going to be on Sunday this week, and for those that aren't sure, we have a week off NRL Fantasy this week, so we have the international games, which I'm excited to watch as well, and we'll speak about those teams in another video. But we got the Blues versus the Maroons in this game at 7:50 on Sunday evening, which is going to be obviously in 6 days, and I hope you'll enjoy it. But a Blues win this week, a close one, and we'll head out to Queensland for that last game. So I'm really excited for this one, guys. I think that all the changes, everything that Freddie does, I have complete faith in. I just wanted to just throw that discussion out as to potentially what some of these changes mean, and how the game's going to look, or should look anyway. But I hope you enjoy that, guys. Hit subscribe, like to these videos. I appreciate that a lot. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.